Turkish geologist Professor Osman Bektaş has warned of an impending danger for everyone living on the Black Sea coast. He says it's to blame. According to him, global warming, insufficient rainfall, and temperatures rising above average have led to life in the depths of this sea becoming impoverished. The amount of fish has decreased, and the diversity of biological species has declined, but that's not even the main issue. The Black Sea is almost a closed basin with the world ocean, connected only by the narrow Bosporus Strait. The Dnipro, Dniester and Danube rivers have carried silt that settled on the bottom and through chemical reactions created hydrogen sulfide. The modern version suggests that these sediments filled the Black Sea as a result of the last planetary flood, which brought black soil from the territory of Siberia. In any case, the solution of this gas, hydrogen sulfide, which resulted from the decomposition of biomass and is heavier than water, accumulated in the deepest places. Essentially, in the Black Sea, only the top 100 meters is clean water. All its marine life lives in this layer, and everything below that is poisonous hydrogen sulfide, where there are no plants or animals. At the same time, the depth of the Black Sea reaches more than 2 kilometers. Of course, the Turkish scientist Osman Bektaş is not the first to point out this problem. People have discussed this for a long time, and no one is scared by the worst forecasts anymore. According to the scientist, the middle layer plays an important role in constantly cooling the upper layer, acting like an air conditioner. But now it has started to thin due to climate warming and a decrease in the flow of cold river water into the sea basin. The process of the Black Sea's structural destruction and its further demise, the resident of Turkey is convinced, can no longer be prevented or reversed. When the lower layer mixes with the upper one, then toxic gases will begin to pose a threat to people living near the sea, warns the concerned scientist. Back in 2018, Professor of Environmental Protection Anatoly Shevchuk explained that the boundary of the Black Sea's dead zone was gradually and steadily rising, approaching the surface. By the mid-20th century, it had risen from a depth of 400 meters to 50 and in some places even to 30 meters. According to many indicators, the Black Sea is close to a dangerous state, scientists worry, and hydrogen sulfide could lead to a global catastrophe in just a few years. Therefore, even with the most optimistic forecasts, millions living on the coast will still need to be relocated, and in the worst-case scenario, if a critical mass is reached, a lightning strike or even worse, an earthquake could ignite the hydrogen sulfide. As we know, lightning often strikes the sea. We should also remember the earthquakes that occurred on the Crimean Peninsula in 1927. At that time, fiery columns were seen in the sea 30 kilometers west of Sevastopol. It was hydrogen sulfide burning, brought up from the depths. Back then, it wasn't as close to the surface as it is now. Its emissions were local in nature. We recall Kornei Chukovsky's poem, where the sea caught fire and animals tried to extinguish it together. And the idea of the blue, or more likely the Black Sea burning, didn't just come out of nowhere. It's likely that it has caught fire more than once in the past. Alexander Gorodnitsky, a researcher at the Institute of Oceanology of the Russian Academy of Sciences, notes that gas hydrates, compressed methane and other flammable gases are also found on the Black Sea floor. From time to time, they break through to the surface. This is a seismically active region, and there are earthquakes there that trigger these emissions. In addition, methane is released through cracks in the Earth's crust, like when the sea was on fire during the Yalta earthquake of 1927, described in the 12 Chairs by Ilf and Petrov. Modern researchers find a lot of evidence that the Earth is full of quarries from past civilizations, incredibly powerful by today's standards, which left little space where the most valuable resources haven't been taken. And the Black Sea also resembles such a giant quarry. Nature does not create such shapes, which indicates a similarity to an artificial basin. For example, industry makes plastic garden pools of a similar shape because it gives the structure extra strength. Perhaps someone didn't want this quarry to one day collapse inward. Of course, this is an interesting version that we can't prove, but if someone once built this quarry, does that mean we can fill it in? Of course not. Our civilization won't reach that level of development anytime soon for a simple reason: they won't let us, because technological progress has been artificially held back for more than 100 years. However, we shouldn't just sit back and do nothing, and humanity can still take some action. Back in the 1960s, Soviet engineers proposed a technology to neutralize the hydrogen sulfide in the Black Sea and, at the same time, find a use for it in the national economy. They planned to build an industrial complex on the coast. The lower layer is pumped up from the depths and passed through a special facility where the hydrogen sulfide is separated and broken down into sulfur and hydrogen. Sulfur is a valuable product in the chemical industry. It is used in road construction. The development of sulfur concrete and asphalt concrete based on it will revolutionize road construction. Well, and hydrogen is the most ideal environmentally friendly fuel. The process of condensing, storing and using it has long been developed. It is also used in metallurgy and many other industries. However, any reasonable person will state the fact that the needs of one country are not enough to change the situation. Alright, let's involve 10 countries 2030. Everyone needs resources and things will get going at full speed. And in order to prevent the environment from suffering due to the chemical industry, there are technologies that allow all chemical processes to be carried out at depth by placing an autonomous energy complex there. By operating directly in the sulfur industry within the hydrogen layer, this facility will deliver either hydrogen or the generated energy to the shore. So, there is a well-founded theory that the Black Sea will release its hydrogen sulfide as a result of ongoing global warming. And Western scientists tirelessly predict deadly heat for humanity, which will cover the Earth by the end of the century. The predictors themselves won't live to see this era, but they are constantly stressed about what awaits humanity in the future. They explain that by the end of the century, the air temperature at the Earth's surface will rise by 2 to 7 degrees Celsius compared to the pre-industrial era, and the threshold for unprecedented heat is an average annual temperature of 29 degrees Celsius. They claim that countries like India, Indonesia, Nigeria, Pakistan, and the Philippines will be affected the most. They have very large populations and the most people living on the edge of the climate niche. Sustained high temperatures lead to increased mortality and infectious diseases, reduced crop yields, and provoke wars over resources. This topic of global warming has long become tiresome. The West's brazen policy is to intimidate countries with rapidly growing economies, which include not only India but also other nations, in order to impose a green agenda and achieve their own political and economic goals. Head of the Biogeography Laboratory at the Institute of Geography, Russian Academy of Sciences, Arkady Tishkov notes that since 2007, international environmental groups have warned India and nearby countries about severe droughts, vanishing rivers, diseases, flooding, rice crop failures, and other disasters. They completely forgot this agenda, then brought it up again after 15 years. And such concern directly correlates with the policy towards these countries. Yes, in recent decades, the overall temperature increase has been about 1 degree Celsius. Natural disasters are happening more often, but like in other countries, they occur in cycles. Since the late 1800s, around 20 droughts in India have killed millions. There have also been climate-related population migrations and other consequences. All of this happened with the same regularity long before modern warming. So I would suggest introducing legal liability, continues Arkady Tishkov, for scaremongering about global warming at both the international and national levels. Since promoting this agenda often clearly involves lobbying and violations of both international norms and moral or criminal law. Many scientists have long concluded that this warming is a cyclical natural process that cannot be slowed down or accelerated, since its energy is incomparable to the standard economic activities of modern civilization. The only way humanity itself can cause irreparable damage to global security is by destroying the planet's forests. And if you want a quick and guaranteed way, it's to start a full-scale nuclear war. In all other cases, nature will slowly, at a waltz's pace, adapt to climate changes, redistribute air and ocean currents, adjust the development of animal and plant life, and multiply its riches. So, in fact, the real problem today lies elsewhere. Some people are very frightened by the possibility of abundance, which could begin with the restoration of a favorable climate on Earth, like the one that existed before the last planetary catastrophe.